So this is Jesus' intro to his sermon. Okay, this isn't even like the meat of the
Yeah.
sermon. Like this is the introduction. So that's some pretty heavy stuff.
He's trying to
But
give you every possible reason to listen.
yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, if you think about how it's freely available to you, all of these things, all these blessings that are mentioned in the Beatitudes, and then you go through the meat of the sermon, and he talks about righteous living and how you should conduct yourself. Then you get to the end, and as we mentioned earlier, he talks about, but you have to listen and put it into practice, right? So that's the tough part. Is
Yeah.
apparently it's freely available. So why doesn't everybody pick it up and take it for themselves, right? It's because they have to listen and build their life on it.
Mhm.
And so that's the call, I guess, for this lesson today, because it's the same call Christ had in the original giving of this sermon. Welcome to Biblocus, where the Bible intersects with your life. I'm Timothy.
And I'm Caleb.
And you're listening to Bible Discussions, the forum where we explore biblical topics that are relevant to your life. Today we are continuing our series on the life of Christ, and this is part 25 where we start discussing the Beatitudes. So last week we looked at the scenarios surrounding the Sermon on the Mount. We did an introduction to the Sermon on the Mount, and of course, famously, the Sermon on the Mount begins with the Beatitudes.
Mm-hmm.
But we had seen that Jesus was healing and performing miracles to all kinds of people. And now he's got their attention. He's got huge crowds. He's outgrown the synagogues like we talked about last week. And he's out on a mountainside attracting people from all around the region, something around the size of the state of Indiana, we said. And so now he's going to start talking to them. And the Beatitudes are what he wants to start with.
Mm-hmm. And, like we said, they're from a large area, from different nations, different tongues, different classes. Most of them, though, are likely poor, sick, and suffering, or were a minute ago.
Yeah, he's brought all
I don't know
these-
that he's changed their status of being poor, but he's healed a lot of the sick and suffering.
Well, we spoke a few weeks back about how when Jesus took on when the Holy Spirit descended upon him, and he, in that sense, became the Messiah, the anointed one, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we talked about the same thing happened with David when he became anointed, and he was hiding out in the cave of Adullam from Saul, and all kinds of people were coming to him who were disaffected in some way. And Jesus kind of has that same ragtag bunch of people coming out to him. Not every one of them, but a large number of the people coming are needing something from him.
Yeah, it seems to be part of being the Messiah.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, he's helped them with physical needs, and now he wants to help them spiritually.
Yeah, he said that's why I've come, right?
Mm-hmm.
Was to preach. And so now we're going to get to hear him preach, but I think it's this spiritual help that you're talking about is only going to come to the people who are willing to listen to him.
Yeah,
as Jesus says.
Doesn't he end the Sermon on the Mount with the building of the houses on the rock and on the sand?
Yeah.
So you got to listen.
Right. And so we're going to invite you to listen to the reading of the Beatitudes. Matthew 5, verses 3 through 12.
Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are those who mourn, for they will be comforted. Blessed are the meek, for they will inherit the earth. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they will be filled. Blessed are the merciful, for they will be shown mercy. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they will see God. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called children of God. Blessed are those who are persecuted because of righteousness, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are you when people insult you, persecute you, and falsely say all kinds of evil against you because of me. Rejoice and be glad, because great is your reward in heaven. For in the same way they persecuted the prophets who were before you.
So let me just say, and now that we've read that we realize there's a little bit of a difference between Matthew's version of the Beatitudes and what's included in Luke's Sermon on the Plain in Luke chapter 6. We'll deal with those at a later time. Right now, we just want to talk about what Matthew says. But if you want to go look at Luke, he has an interesting section in there where he talks about the woes also that follow the Beatitudes, and we'll talk about that at a later time. So anyway, back to Matthew chapter 5. So what do you make of this, Galen?
Yeah, it's easy to read it as a list of instructions, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like you have to make yourself poor and make yourself mourn. Like I don't think that's the right way, the right way to
Right.
take it. I mean, maybe some of them, right? Like I think verses 7 through 9, right, where it says, "Blessed are the merciful, blessed are the pure in heart, blessed are the peacemakers." Those are definitely things I think you could work on, try to do yourself.
Mm-hmm.
But you can't really make yourself be persecuted, you know. So you
Well,
can't.
there are people who are pretty good at it, but
Yeah, you can't exactly make yourself mourn. Like something bad has to happen, you know.
mm-hmm.
So um, I think that this is actually good news, right? It's
Right.
not instruction, and this is like the distinction between whether it's law or gospel, as it
Mm-hmm.
might be put, whether it's a command or a promise.
Yeah.
I think actually we should read these more. Not that there isn't anything you can glean from that in terms of like the moral law, how to live your life, but I think it's as a whole we should read it as Jesus is bringing the good news.
Yeah. Well, it's not even meant to be a list. Like the 10 Commandments is meant to be a list of
Yeah,
laws. Like this isn't meant to be, here's the New Testament 10 Commandments or something.
yeah,
It's meant to be illustrative of what's going on. It's not even really a list. It's sort of like when uh, Jesus tells the John the Baptist's disciples, go back and tell him that you see this happening, the lame walk, the blind see, and all these things. And then he'll go, well, what about you also healed a crippled, a kid that fell into fires. Should we tell him that one too? I mean, he's not trying to give him a full list of here's all the
yeah,
things I ever did or whatever. Um, it's just meant to be illustrative of what's going on. And what's going on is that there's a sea change happening and God is present, right?
yeah. It's not a manual on how to get yourself into heaven. Like you don't get yourself in heaven, you know.
Right.
And you
Yeah.
look at all the blessings. None of these, again, are things that you can make happen. Like yours is the kingdom of heaven. You don't just take it. Like God gives it to you. They'll be comforted. Well, you don't. That doesn't make sense when you're, if you're miserable, you can't comfort yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Inherit the earth. Be filled. They'll be shown mercy. Again, all these things you can't just decide if you're empty or if you're in need of mercy. You can't just decide. Well, I'll just have it then. If you don't have it, like it has to be given to you.
Right.
That's the point. And that's again why we took a whole episode and referenced it at the beginning here to look at the setting that the sermon was given in. All these poor people, sick people, or until 15 minutes ago they were sick. And now he's telling them the poor in spirit will inherit the kingdom of heaven. And so and that's, by the way, not just poor, impoverished, right? He says poor in spirit, not poor in wallet,
Right. Yeah.
poor in the purse. There's something there that's saying if you're not close to God, if your spiritual life is in shambles, the kingdom of heaven is still available to you. If
Right.
you're suffering under the yoke of the Pharisees,
Yeah, I think in a really good book on this, a good resource is the Divine Conspiracy book by Dallas Willard that talks about this in depth. But everything you're saying makes me think of it's not like hurdles. Like it's not like you're running down the track and then there's hurdles. Oh, can you jump over this one? Oh yeah, you got to jump over this one too. Jump all the hurdles and get to the end and you've won the race. It's like no, it's not like a bunch of hurdles you have to clear.
hmm
It's saying that if you get into one of these unfortunate situations, Messiah solves it.
yeah,
It's something that the presence of Messiah will make this all go away.
yeah. So it's telling us that there's a solution to our problems.
Mm-hmm.
Because certainly you can see yourself somewhere in there. Maybe you're not close to God. Maybe you just listen to Bible studies on YouTube and never go to church physically.
Right.
Um, maybe you're mourning. Maybe whatever the case may be. All of the and probably multiple. All of the things listed there. Maybe you're in that kind of humble, desperate situation, and he's just saying the kingdom of heaven is available to you. I can fill you. I can give you what you need.
Yeah.
And it's also that it's another way of looking at it is to say that this is the way things should be.
Right. Yeah. Well, because what did people think the way things should be? The conventional wisdom before the appearance of Jesus Christ was the Pharisees. And I guess I'll stick with the track and field analogy. Instead of hurdles, I should have said high jump, right? Like the Pharisees are like, oh, you got to clear this high jump and we'll set the level for you. You got to get all the way up to here or you're not good enough to be with God.
Mm-hmm.
And people are like, I can't jump that high. Like, I have no way of clearing that bar. And it's like the Pharisees are like, yeah, but I can.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty amazing.
Lucky for them, it wasn't set a couple notches higher,
Yeah. And so they were like setting up an impossible thing. It's kind of like where Jesus says you make these people, you go make a convert out of them, and then you don't even let them get into heaven.
Yeah, well,
you're stopping them from getting in.
The way that they looked at it, the Pharisees, was if these people were supposed to be in the kingdom of heaven, they wouldn't be so poor. They wouldn't be sick.
Mm-hmm.
God's punishing them.
Yes.
Like when the disciples encounter a blind man, what's their question? Did he sin or did his parents sin? 'Cause somebody's being punished. Mm-hmm. Jesus is like the opposite. He's like, by the way, I'm here so the blind can see.
Right. And then Jesus is actually saying the opposite of what we were setting up there with the high jump bar. He's saying, yeah, aren't there a lot of people in the world who can't clear the high jump, right? Mm-hmm. Like there's people who are mourning. There's no way to comfort somebody that just lost their spouse of 50 years or something, mm-hmm. right? They lost a child or whatever. There's no way to clear that hurdle, right? You're devastated and you're bereft of everything. But Jesus is like, well, God comes for you too.
It's reversing that Pharisaical instinct. The Pharisees' instinct is when you see somebody who's got a problem, you just think, they did something bad that caused that. I don't deal with that. I'm not poor. I'm not, mm-hmm. blind or whatever. I'm better than them.
Yeah.
So, and he's reversing it and saying, gee, do you have problems like this? Well, God wants to help you.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, because before the Beatitudes, the thinking was, well, that person is a loser and won't get in.
Yeah.
And you saw that because it was like when we did the calling of Matthew or Levi, it was like, why is he eating with all of those losers?
Yeah.
And he's like, those are the people I came to help. Right? They're sick and I need to help them. I need to get them up over the bar.
Yeah, it's the same thing, yeah.
Yeah, and so he's saying the same thing here. See, that's what you wish would have happened, right? You thought, why would God favor these self-righteous guys, mm-hmm. right? That doesn't seem right. But look, they get to be in all the high places, in the church services and synagogues and stuff. So I guess, I mean, maybe I'm not good enough. And Jesus is saying, no, I'm coming for the lowly. I'm coming for the people who are knocked down by life, and I'm telling them they're winners. Mm-hmm. And I'm eating with them. I'm celebrating with them. And it's just like when he touched Peter's mother-in-law. We covered this a few episodes ago, and she's instantly healed.
Or the leper.
Yeah. The presence of Messiah restores things back to the order they were supposed to be in the first place, and that includes all these people who are poor.
Yeah, and that's the point. Like the kingdom of heaven is not far off. This has been the message of this ministry since it was in John the Baptist's hands.
Right.
Like, repent, for the kingdom of heaven is near. It's not far off. It's not behind a paywall. It's not behind a checklist or over a high jump. Whatever analogy we want to use. It's in your midst.
And the reason people were streaming to Jesus, right, and saying, "I love this guy's teaching. He teaches like somebody who actually knows what he's talking about," right, mm-hmm. is because they realize, hey, this is what I've always believed. Like when I hear what this guy says, I think, yeah, I've always thought it should be that way. I've always thought, the world should stop for somebody when they're mourning and everybody should comfort them, right, and take care of them.
Yeah, and I think I made this point before, but I think the Pharisees don't have the same feel of authority because they're so insecure. Because they've got all these rules they've created, and they don't really know if they're doing good enough. So they just sort of oppress everybody else with it and hope they won't notice.
Yeah.
And but the point is,
and they try to stop other people, like Jesus has said, and you stop other people from entering. He says later in Matthew, who should enter, And it's like they've created a paywall on the internet, that, oh, sorry, you
Yeah.
can't get the special information. You can't have the special treatment because you're not part of the paying membership and you're not in the paywall.
Which brings
And
us
so-
to our grand unveiling of Biblocus Plus. No, I'm just-
Yeah, that's right. Biblocus Plus. We're actually going to have somebody who pays for this.
yeah. No, we're kidding. The point is that the kingdom of heaven is in your midst because the Messiah, God incarnate, is in your midst, even among the unrighteous, which last time I checked includes everybody.
Yeah,
So,
right.
The Pharisees, the tax collectors, the poor, the blind, the prostitutes, everybody. He's willing to eat with them. It's like the Pharisees are the ones that don't want to eat with him. Everything he does, they're like, no, you can't do that.
Yeah. Well, and if we're not careful, we'll be just like him. And
Yeah.
we're known as the people of no. No, you can't do that.
Like
No, you can't
American
do that.
Christians. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's that puritanical ancestry, probably.
Yeah. Well, Jesus is more of the news. The good news is yes, you can be a part of. You can have access to God. You can be a part of the kingdom.
Yeah. And this is a great time to revisit Job. We did, throughout our Old Testament study, a whole episode on Job, and this was one of the big takeaways we had. The biggest one, I guess, was his focus on the resurrection.
Yeah, and I think what Caleb is talking about here is in the very beginning of the Beatitudes, in verse 3 of chapter 5, it said, "Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven," right? And Job was broken down to pieces.
Well, he ticks
right?
all of these boxes.
Yeah.
Certainly he's mourning.
Yeah.
And we'll see that he almost repeats the Beatitudes in here. So this is Job 17, verses 1 through 9.
My spirit is broken. My days are cut short. The grave awaits me. Surely mockers surround me. My eyes must dwell on their hostility. Give me, O God, the pledge you demand. Who else will put up security for me? You have closed their minds to understanding. Therefore, you will not let them triumph. If anyone denounces their friends for reward, the eyes of their children will fail. God has made me a byword to everyone, a man in whose face people spit. My eyes have grown dim with grief. My whole frame is but a shadow. The upright are appalled at this. The innocent are aroused against the ungodly. Nevertheless, the righteous will hold to their ways, and those with clean hands will grow stronger.
I mean, that sounds like it's echoing the same thing, honestly. In verse 1, Job says his spirit is broken. Like, I don't know what else being poor in spirit would mean, right? In verse 6, he describes being persecuted. That's one of the Beatitudes, where he says people are spitting in his face and stuff. And in verse 7, he complains of his grief. And I mean, if you know the story of Job, his whole family just died, except for his wife, who apparently that wasn't even a blessing. Seems like she's making him more miserable. He's like outlining the Beatitudes here. And then his conclusion is, nevertheless, the righteous will hold to their ways.
Yeah, that's really awesome. Like we said in our Job episode back in our early series there, that Job, his complaint to his friends was, just because I'm down, why can't I strive for righteousness?
Yeah.
And they're like, no, you're disqualified.
They're using that same Pharisaical framework. Like, they're saying, well, all this stuff happened to you. You must have done something bad. God's punishing you.
Yeah.
It hasn't happened to me, so I must be better.
Yeah, you've been knocked down by the hurdles. That's why you're on your face.
They keep putting God's brought the high jump bar all the way to the ground, and they keep trying to put it back up.
Yeah.
That's our analogy for today, apparently, for everything.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, just because you're downtrodden doesn't mean you can't pursue righteousness. And Christ is saying, and not only that, but you get the kingdom of heaven.
So continuing in the reading here, this is verses 10 through 16.
But come on, all of you, try again. I will not find a wise man among you. My days have passed, my plans are shattered, yet the desires of my heart turn night into day. In the face of the darkness, light is near. If the only home I hope for is the grave, if I spread out my bed in the realm of darkness, if I say to corruption, you are my father, and to the worm, my mother or my sister, where then is my hope? Who can see any hope for me? Will it go down to the gates of death? Will we descend together into the dust?
So Job's by no means denying the bleak situation he's in, right? It's not this sort of contemporary, cultural Christian, like everything's happy. God just gives everybody a happy ending. It's always a Hallmark movie, like, um, but he's also not portraying the things that are happening as, oh, good, this earns me righteousness. I'm poor in spirit now, so I'm according to
Right.
Jesus, I get into heaven.
Right. Yeah.
That's one of the misreadings of the Beatitudes. Like, I better do all these things. I've got to be meek so I can earn my way into heaven.
Yeah.
That's
Hmm.
not the way that Scripture speaks about it, whether it's Old Testament here in Job or in the New Testament.
Yeah, I like the fact that he does the dichotomy of dark and light because we've talked about this a lot. And the first time we talked about it was probably in our Lamentations episode way back when. But this idea of, are you going to give yourself over to darkness? I mean, that's what Job says. Am I supposed to just embrace death? I'll just embrace darkness and say, oh, I love the grave and it's my father and the worms, my mom or my sister.
Mhm.
He's saying it that way on purpose to say, am I supposed to say, well, that's what I was made for. I was made to die. No, he's like, I was made for life. I was made for light.
Yeah,
I was made to embrace that, not death.
that's what we mean by the Beatitudes show you how things should be, how you've always wanted them to be.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the alternative is, like, once you start on that downhill slope, you never get out. You're always going to get lower, and you can never claw your way out because you deserve to be down there.
Yeah, the
And
downward
Jesus is
spiral.
saying, I'd like to help you back up. And it's like, it makes me think of we live in the Southeast here, so college football is the real religion of the land. And it's like the way the college system has been set up for so long. It's like all the best schools get all the best players, and you're just stuck that way. Alabama's always good, It's like, and then the smaller schools or schools that have less of a history with that sport just can't attract any players. They just always go to the good school, and that's how Job's friends see it. That's how the Pharisees see it, and God doesn't see it that way. Job recognizes that God actually wants to help him, lift him back up.
Yeah, so it's really interesting. He gives himself over to the light, and that's what Christ is calling people to a lot when we hear him speaking about the light versus the darkness. And Job is saying, you know, light is near, and that's exactly what the Beatitudes are saying.
This is episode 1, a dark, hopeless place.
Hmm.
It's like, if the lesson is, well, once it gets dark, that's it. You have no
Right.
hope. What do you need hope for if everything's great? And then hope doesn't need to exist. If
Yeah.
if
Well,
God's plan for the world is that whenever you're in despair, then good, you should be, and it's all, you're going to hell, and that's it. Bye bye. Then why would the Bible ever talk about hope? But it does.
yeah. Yeah. Good point. All right. So he talks about some other things. He talks about hungering and thirsting for
Yeah,
righteousness.
he also says the desires of his heart are what will save him, which I think is probably worth fleshing out. He certainly doesn't mean his selfish nature, like, I'll just let out all my lust and greed and everything. That'll fix it. That's obviously no. He doesn't mean that he can wish his way out, right? Or again, earn it by wanting the right things just because he is like fit, in hindsight, just because we meet the checklist for the Beatitudes. Okay, good. Like, he means that his desire for God and these desires that he's talking about. Well, I'm made for life. I want life and light because that's what God wants. Like, there was nothing, and then God decided to make something. One of the other things he says, we didn't include this here. I forget what chapter it is in, but he talks about when he dies that God's gonna yearn for the work of his hands. Like, hey, where'd that
Mm-hmm.
Job guy go? I
Yeah.
made him because I thought it was a good idea, and now he's gone. So let's fix that. Job trusts in that, and yeah, it's not just like, again, sort of like a well wishing, like everything's always going to end up great.
Mm-hmm.
I think one thing that I think about all the time. This is a movie quote that I think about all the time. If you've ever seen the Moulin Rouge from 2001. It's a little bit of an acid trip, but it's supposed to be showing like the bohemian lifestyle in Paris at the turn of the 20th century. So I guess that's fitting. But there's this character based on a real guy, Toulouse-Lautrec, and he has this line where he says, "You may see me as a drunken, vice-riddled gnome whose friends are all whores from the brothels, but I know about love and light, if only because I yearn for it with every fiber of my being." And I'm like, well, there's definitely something there of Job. There's also like, okay, but you still, you know, and he's saying this like with a drink in his hand, as he's about to like pass out drunk. It's like, okay, I don't know if you really yearn for it with every fiber of your being because you seem pretty content every day to keep drinking and hanging out with the whores. So
Well, he's looking for it in the wrong places.
yeah,
So, and
yeah, I think
you're
that's
not going to
true.
find it there. But I mean, that's one of the promises of the Beatitudes that Jesus presents is, I'm here and I'm providing it to everyone.
Yeah,
And it's the real truth, the real answer, the real direction.
yeah. Maybe if somebody
So-
would have told Toulouse-Lautrec about that, then he would have found what he was
Something
looking
tells
for.
me he had access to the Beatitudes, but he may, like we said earlier, not have listened.
Yeah, or maybe he was being taught by someone with that self-righteous mindset.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the point is that Job has these desires that God outlines, like he hungers and thirsts for righteousness, right?
Mm-hmm.
And therefore, what does Jesus say? He will be filled.
Yeah.
Again, by God, not because he's doing it or earning it or doing all the right things, but God's going to fill him.
Mm-hmm.
And that is reminiscent of Isaiah 55, which we're going to read a portion of here from verses 1 to 7. Come, all you who are thirsty, come to the waters. And you who have no money, come, buy and eat. Come, buy wine and milk without money and without cost. Why spend money on what is not bread, and your labor on what does not satisfy? Listen to me, and eat what is good, and you will delight in the richest of fare. Give ear and come to me. Listen that you may live. I will make an everlasting covenant with you, my faithful love promised to David. See, I have made him a witness to the peoples, a ruler and commander of the peoples. Surely you will summon nations you know not, and nations you do not know will come running to you, because of the Lord your God, the Holy One of Israel, for he has endowed you with splendor. Seek the Lord while he may be found. Call on him while he is near. Let the wicked forsake their ways, and the unrighteous their thoughts. Let them turn to the Lord, and he will have mercy on them, and to our God, for he will freely pardon. Like the biggest thing that jumps out there is the one-sided nature of it. Like how many times did he say, come and buy, but it's all free.
Well, I think that's illustrative of this, track and field thing we're talking about with the high jump bar or the hurdles, that they're put all the way down to the floor.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to have any money to get what you need.
Yeah.
You can have access to it, but you have to, pursue
Yeah,
it.
he says, why spend money on what is not bread? You're out there, like God has free salvation on offer.
Mm-hmm.
C.S. Lewis talks about that. Right? When we've quoted this before, where he says, we often think of our desires as too strong, like all of our selfish desires. Oh, I got to bottle it up. It's so strong. I can't deal with it. And he says, God probably sees it as too weak because he has free salvation for us. And we're like a child who couldn't conceive of, who's never seen the ocean. And so would rather sit and play with mud pies than go to the beach because it just doesn't understand how big the beach would be in the ocean. We're like that. Like we're chasing our own little ambitions and
Mm-hmm.
things. And God's like, why are you wasting your time and your money on something that won't fill you? I'll just give you for free what will fill you. And we still don't
Yeah.
want to listen.
Mm-hmm.
Which
Yeah.
he says in there. He says, listen twice. Listen. Give me your ear.
Yeah, you can hear a lot of what's in the Beatitudes in this passage as well, and especially in verses 6 and 7, right? It's like, seek the Lord while he may be found, call on him while he is near, right? That's the message of the Beatitudes.
Mhm.
Is
The
he's
kingdom
near,
of heaven is near, yeah.
Yeah, he's near to everybody. Whether you're beaten down or not, you don't have to be a holy man to have access to the holy man.
Yeah, and then it says, let the wicked, which maybe we could read it here, the poor in spirit, maybe. Let the wicked forsake their ways and the unrighteous their thoughts. Not they're bad, so we'll just punish them and feel good about ourselves. It's like, no, help them, turn them around,
Mm-hmm.
Like the watchman thing, from Ezekiel. It doesn't do you any good to just sit there and pat yourself on the back while everyone's burning down around you.
Yeah, you've
Yeah.
got to announce the message.
So, and let them turn to the Lord. He'll have mercy on them, which he gives freely, it says. So that's what we're supposed to take away from the Beatitudes, that even or especially when we're poor in spirit, when we're downtrodden and all of these things,
Yeah.
that we can still turn to the Lord.
Yeah, we haven't said much about the meek yet, and even though we could have in a couple of places, I wanted to go back. We talked about the meek in Psalm 37 when we did Bible discussions episode 73. And that was the sayings of the wise, number 19. I got a lot of numbers in there.
Yeah.
Do not envy wicked men. That was the saying of the wise. And we talked in that episode a lot about how we just love a strong man.
Oh, yeah.
We love a guy who can knock heads, and they're the hero in all the movies and everything.
Yeah. The French Revolution comes, we need a Napoleon to hold everything back together.
But in Psalm 37, verses 7 through 11, it says, "Be still before the Lord and wait patiently for him. Do not fret when people succeed in their ways, when they carry out their wicked schemes. Refrain from anger and turn from wrath. Do not fret, it leads only to evil. For those who are evil will be destroyed, but those who hope in the Lord will inherit the land. A little while, and the wicked will be no more. Though you look for them, they will not be found. But the meek will inherit the land and enjoy peace and prosperity." And so I just wanted to read that again because it's this amazing idea that Jesus had in mind. Of course, Psalm 37, when he mentioned the meek will inherit the earth. And what it's saying is there's a lot of wicked people out there, and it's terrifying, and I'm sure it terrifies you. But the thing that's going to happen is all the wicked are going to pursue and kill each other. And who do the meek inherit the world from? Like in Genesis, God gave all of us the earth, right? All of humanity, we were already given the earth, so we already have it. So how is it that we inherit it? It's because all of these strong men, that we
taking it away. Yeah.
we love so much,
Fighting over it.
yeah, we're going to get it back from them when they fight for what's already theirs and end up dying in the process. But the people who sit back and trust in God will just receive it back as an inheritance from the latest strong man that thought he had to take over the world.
Yeah. So it's tempting, right, to think you look and see somebody who's wicked or power hungry or whatever who's succeeding, and to think, well, they're right and God's wrong because they're inheriting the earth,
Mm-hmm.
And really, I think that verse, as much as any other verse in the Bible, is a true test of faith. We were talking about this last night. And I don't follow Jordan Peterson really anymore, but I know I used to hear him talk about this verse all the time.
Well, he's been sick for a long time. He hasn't been publishing anything.
Okay, yeah. So I don't know where his mind would be on this now, but whenever he would talk about the meek inheriting the earth, he could not accept it. And maybe hopefully he's changed his mind, but he would forcibly mistranslate it and say that means those who know how to use their swords but don't will inherit the earth. It's like, no, it doesn't. It doesn't say that at all. That you're putting your own thoughts onto it because you can't accept it. Because really, it's in the face of collapse, of failure, right? Do you still have my favorite thing to quote, right? The Ballad of the White Horse. When Alfred sees the Danes conquering England, beating him in battle after battle, and then this is fiction, but when he sees it's historical fiction, legend. It's legend. When he sees the vision of Mary, she tells him, "Do you have joy without a cause and faith without a hope?" It's like, do you actually believe in God, or do you just want him for the temporal gains that he might be willing to bless you with? And then if those go away, like Satan was hoping would happen with Job, then do you curse God and die? Or do you say, no, I still want the light and life and God that I believe in. And even if the Lord gives and the Lord takes away, but even if he takes it away, I'm still going to trust in him. And in the end, he'll set it right.
Yeah.
Do you actually believe that? Because if you do, you can accept this verse. But if at the end of the day, well, yeah, but the strong man's there. The Nazis are coming. So we should just use the nukes, spurn our values, use the nukes. Tolkien
Mhm.
thought that at the end of World War II. A lot of people thought that his book was an analogy for World War II. You have this dark lord taking over the world.
The Lord of the
And
Rings.
he said in a letter to his son Christopher, he said, if that's what it was about, then I would have had the free people use the ring to defeat Sauron instead of willingly giving it up and destroying it. Because he said that's what we did on Japan, was drop the nuke.
Mm.
And he thought that was, we compromised our values by doing that. And that's the test. If you can actually trust in God, no matter how
Mm.
low you get. Because if at any point you start justifying it, you're turning into a Pharisee. You start rationalizing and trying to make it where, well, I deserve this, and those people that are suffering don't. Then you're not listening.
Sure. Well, again, though, the idea is that you could be a strong man or not, and still be meek. Like
Hmm.
what Jordan Peterson said about having a sword, or it's whether you have a sword or whether you don't have a sword. It's what you put your faith in
Yes.
that matters. And like I would say the better analogy to go to would be David, right? Like David knows he's anointed. He knows he's the Messiah.
Yeah, and he still
And
doesn't kill Saul.
they say, here he is. God gave him into your hands. That even his friends even tell him, like, this is God orchestrating things for you so that you can be the one that kills him. And David's like, no, that's not. I'm not lifting my hand against God's anointed.
Hmm.
He is also has the anointing of God, and I'm not touching God's anointing because I'm just going to let God work it out. So in
Yeah,
that,
did it ever occur to you that if God wanted him dead, he'd be dead?
yeah, right. And it's that he doesn't need my help, David says. It's like, let him work it all out. I don't know how he's working it all out, but he'll work it all out, and I'll remain trusting in him and not in my own strength.
Hmm.
And so that's kind of what's talking about here. The people who trust God all the way to the end, it works out for them in the long run. Like you can't see that in the short run. And that's what we said in our series, the sayings of the wise. Almost all the sayings of the wise,
Yeah.
if you looked at them in the long run, they make complete sense. And in the short run, they may not make as much sense. But you have to take a long view of things to understand God's view of things.
That's one of our great sicknesses in our culture today, right? Like in the ancient world, none of them balked at the idea of an afterlife or a God. They're just like, well, why don't you have 50? You know, why aren't there 50 gods?
Hmm.
And now our culture just it's totally materialist. Like there's just what you see in front of you. The physical reality is all there is. So there is no long term at all. It would be hard for this message to hit home, right? Like in today's culture, if Jesus had come today, so many people would just not believe in it, not believe that there is any spiritual reality.
And I think a lot of people had given up in the time of Christ when he appeared. It was the Roman occupation and a bunch of corrupt leaders in the temple and in the synagogues. And you know, what are we going to do?
Yeah, but one of C.S. Lewis's arguments for the existence of God is the argument from desire. I believe he's the one who sort of came up with that. Like that, the fact that, well, I have a thirst, so there must be water, that they're made
Mm-hmm.
for each other. I hunger, and there's food. I have a sex drive, there's sex. I have all of these desires that have a thing to match them.
Yeah.
Why do I desire like justice? And that's like undeniable. Everybody why do we love, murder mysteries? Like you get the bad guy in the end. You
Hmm.
always got to catch him. We love justice. We want to see that done. Why do we have desires for love, for beauty? Like those things, what's the fulfillment of that if it's not something real? Because those are not tangible realities. There's something deeper there. So he says, well, if I have a desire for the ultimate good, for God, then what is there to meet that desire? We all have this hole in our guts, and like you're saying, these people had basically nothing left except the desire. And then Jesus
Hmm.
comes and says, "This is how everything should be."
Yeah, and it sounds really good.
Hmm. So our words of life takeaway are from Revelation 22:17. Let the one who is thirsty come, and let the one who wishes take the free gift of the water of life.
Yeah, so Jesus is offering the free gift just like he does in the Beatitudes.
And in
He points
Isaiah,
out,
right?
you know.
Come and buy without cost.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He
he's pointing out that hey, there is no bar you have to jump over.
and
It's
it's he's done it all for you. He's made it as easy as possible, right? But you can resist him like the like the Pharisees. I don't like this. I like
mhm.
thinking that I'm better than the poor guy. And he came for everyone, for the rich, the poor, the young, the old. He came for Jews, Greeks, and Syrians, like we saw in the intro to the Sermon on the Mount. This huge region of people, different languages and backgrounds, and so it's for everyone, which should include you. If you can see yourself in the Beatitudes, right, then he's offering hope for you.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
But if also in Revelation, the church in Laodicea, right? And I know that's one of your favorite passages because you think it's about it's applicable to the American church. If you're too proud to see your own poverty, right? You don't recognize that you're poor, blind, and naked, then you don't see any need for him. You think I'm doing pretty good for myself.
Yeah. So this is Jesus' intro to his sermon. Okay, this isn't even like the meat of the
Yeah.
sermon. Like this is the introduction. So that's some pretty heavy stuff.
He's trying to
But
give you every possible reason to listen.
yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, if you think about how it's freely available to you, all of these things, all these blessings that are mentioned in the Beatitudes, and then you go through the meat of the sermon, and he talks about righteous living and how you should conduct yourself. Then you get to the end, and as we mentioned earlier, he talks about, but you have to listen and put it into practice, right? So that's the tough part. Is
Yeah.
apparently it's freely available. So why doesn't everybody pick it up and take it for themselves, right? It's because they have to listen and build their life on it.
Hmm.
And so that's the call, I guess, for this lesson today, because it's the same call Christ had in the original giving of this sermon. You know, he started out saying it's all free, and it's all good, and it's all available to every single person, no matter who you are. But he realizes that by the end of the sermon, but I know a lot of people are not going to avail themselves of it.
Hmm.
And what's going to happen is their house is going to collapse. And so that's, I guess, our plea to you today is listen to the words, take the hope that's offered in the Beatitudes, and know that God's available to you today.
Hmm.
All right, well, he's Caleb and I'm Timothy, and thank you for listening to Bible Discussions on Biblocus, where the Bible intersects with your life. Please consider subscribing to our channel to help support our efforts. All scripture quotations, unless otherwise indicated, are taken from the Holy Bible, New International Version, NIV, copyright by Biblica, Inc., used by permission of Zondervan, all rights reserved. Biblocus is a registered trademark. This program is copyright 2026 by Timothy Klingerman. God bless all of you.